into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am obviously not on location today, but I'm not sick. I'm feeling well. Um, like to thank Pastor Tom again for giving me this opportunity and extending this opportunity for me to talk to you from here. So blessings to you, Pastor Tom and First Lady Kimberly. Thank you guys so much for all of the love you have showered my way. And today, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you. I want to just clarify some things that I said last week. Last week, I was talking about doubt, and I used the frame, I used the expression doubting Thomas. Well, when I said that, I noticed that uh, Aaron and Pastor Tom uh, kind of cringed. So I knew I had said something wrong. And so what I did is I had to do a little bit more research into that. And when you research it, you're talking about you starting with the disciples. You're looking at the disciples from the beginning to the end, all 12 of them. It's not a lot of information about them. And in fact, when it comes to Thomas, the only information that comes with Thomas is they refer to him as doubting Thomas. He's got this negative judgment, but that's not what he did. He didn't doubt Jesus. He walked with Jesus. He never doubted Jesus. And in fact, when Jesus had resurrected, the first time Jesus presented himself to the disciples, all of them weren't in the room. And Thomas, unfortunately, wasn't in the room. So when they ran to Thomas and told him that Jesus had resurrected, and I'm going to read it, he said, except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails and put my fingers into the print of the nails and thrust my hand into the side, I will not believe. Now, he didn't say that he didn't believe that Jesus had resurrected from the dead. What he did, he denied the report from the disciples. And that's a huge difference, and how many times, firmly rooted, have we disagreed with someone, but we didn't think the way they wanted us to think, and it caused problems. It's because when the church read this later on, they labeled him doubting, but that was a negative label, and he didn't earn that label, because Jesus himself, when Jesus he called him by his name, he never called him doubting, and nowhere in the Bible does it say doubting Thomas. Jesus said Thomas, and he said, reach hither. Um, and he told Thomas to put his hands in the nails where he had been nailed, and thrust his hand in his side. And then Thomas said, oh, my Lord and my God. And Jesus told him, you're blessed because you've seen and you believe, but blessed are those who yet seen and still believe. So he never was doubting Thomas. That's a label that the church put on him, because he chose not to believe the way they wanted him to believe. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's independent, and there's nothing wrong. We're not always going to believe everything that everybody else believes. Sometimes, as a teacher, I know I had students, I was a math teacher, and I had students that I could write equations on the board, and I could just explain the process and they'll get it. But then I had other students that I had to walk them through step by step. They had to physically do it before it rung a bell. So everybody learns different, and everybody believes different. And that's the beautiful part about our walk with God. So that's what I wanted to clarify. It's not doubting Thomas. It's just Thomas. He's just a disciple who trusts his own instincts. So we'll be back next week where we're talking about something on faith. I appreciate you guys so much. I want you to be careful. Hey,
Hey, I just want to, chime in and say I'm blessed that you even getting this done from home, and I'm glad that you finally clarified that doubting Thomas thing. All right, because
Yeah.
I feel much better today.
I'm glad you feel that way because, we're entitled to our own opinion. And the church shouldn't label us as doubting because we don't believe what they want us to believe.
Yep.
Well,
I love you, Mr. Jackson,
Hey,
and
we
thank you
appreciate
for
you.
the blessing that you are to Firmly Rooted.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And everybody today, be safe. Preferably be at home praying while the goblins are out and about. Yeah, so
All right, everyone.
let's
Blessings
pray.
on your day. Make it a Firmly Rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today.
Yes,
Peace.
sir. See you next week. Let's